Hi there, I'm Joseph Botnar. Welcome to another C-Sharp video tutorial. In this C-Sharp video tutorial, I intend to make an application which is gonna to compute the prime numbers from 1 up to 100 and from 101 up to 200. So all the time when I start to make an application, I go to do a very serious research about that thing. So in my case, it's about prime number. So I gonna go to see what this prime number means. So I'm gonna go to analyze the definition of a prime number. So a prime number is a natural number like 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, which must be divisible by exactly two natural numbers, namely itself and 1. So this is the definition of prime number. So let's make a few examples. For example, 1 is not a prime number. You might say, why not? Because 1 doesn't respect this condition of part of prime number definition. It must be divisible by exactly two natural numbers, namely itself and 1. So 1 is divisible just by exactly one natural number, namely itself. So 1 is divisible only by 1. So that's why 1 is not a prime number. For example, 2 is prime number. Even 2 is even number because 2 is divisible by 1 and by itself. Otherwise, 2 is the lowest prime number. Except 2, all prime numbers are odd numbers. But this doesn't mean all odd numbers are prime numbers. Because, for example, if I go to 9, this is not a prime number because 9 is divisible by 9, by 3 and by 1. So 9 is not divisible by itself and only by itself and by 1. Also 9 in addition by 9 and by 1 is divisible by 3. So that's why 9 is not a prime number. For example, 3 is odd number and is prime number because 3 is divisible by itself and by 1. 4 is not a prime number because it's divisible by 4, by 2 and by 1. So between 4 and 1, 4 is divisible by 2. So that's why 4 is not a prime number. So 2 is the only even number that is prime because any other even number is going to be divisible by 2 in addition to 1 and itself, as you've seen, for example, 4 is divisible by 2 in addition 1 and itself. That's why 4 is not a prime number. And I repeat, 2 is the only even number that is prime number. The most prime number is odd numbers, as I told you before. A natural number greater than 1 that is not a prime number is called a composite number. So that's all about theory of prime number. So the next step, what I do all the time when I intend to do an application is to write on paper the steps what I should follow. So I done the analyze of think what I have to sort out, and the next step is to put on the paper what I have to do to sort out my application. So I'm going to write on the paper a few steps like you see in this example. So what I have to do? First I need numbers, yeah, because I should determine which number is a prime number. So the first step is the input, and the input is going to be numbers. The second step is to determine if the number is prime using a parameterized method, because I intend to calculate and to determine if the number is prime number using a method, and I want to use a method, a parameterized method. So this is the second step called processing. The third step is output. This output means to display if the number is prime or not. And the fourth step is to code the algorithm into a program. So and the fifth step is going to be evaluate and modify, if necessary, the program. So this is going to be my algorithm, which I'm going to do in editor, exactly in Visual Studio Editor. So first I need a number, for example 1, to check if the numbers are prime, and to display the prime numbers up to 100. I need another number, for example 2, to check if the prime number to check the prime numbers from 101 up to 200. And the third step what my algorithm contains is to create a method that is going to verify if that number is prime or not. And the fourth step is to display prime numbers up to 100, and the fifth step is to display prime numbers from 101 up to 200. So let's start to code. So what I have to do? I start with the first step as usual. Yeah, I need a number, for example 1, to check if the numbers are prime numbers, and to display the prime numbers up to 100. So what I need? I need first to use the console object and write a line method, because I need to write a text in console. Yeah, okay. So enter 1 to check prime numbers up to 100. So this is a text which is going to be displayed in a console, and I need another number to calculate and display in console the prime numbers from 101 to 200. Okay, and I need a console read line, which is going to read the number, this number 1 or 2, which I need to calculate and to display the prime numbers. So I'm going to use the console read line to read those numbers, as I told you. But before I should declare an integer variables, let's say number 1, yeah, and this integer variables number 1 is going to store the number which the console read line is going to read. So console read line. So I'm going to use this object convert and this method to convert the string to integer. Okay, and I'm going to use this if statement, conditional statement, and this conditional expression number 1 equal 1, because inside this conditional statement, if I'm gonna to write the code for determine and display the prime numbers from 1 up to 100. So now the next step is to create a class, and inside that class I'd like to create a method, a parameterized method. So I go here, over here, and click right of mouse, add, and class, and I'm gonna to name my class prime numbers 100 and click add. I'm gonna to declare this public bool method named prime n with this parameter a. I wrote this if conditional statement and inside its parentheses this conditional expression, because if a equal 1, I want this conditional statement to return false because 1 is not a prime number. So let's go ahead. I don't need those curly brackets here because I want the compiler to execute this line. If this conditional expression is fulfilled, is true, I want compiler to execute this line. Yeah, here missing curly brackets. That's why I have this error here. Okay, yeah, now it's all right, good. Okay, this loop 4 is gonna to initialize all the time this b variable by 2, and this test, this conditional test is true. The compiler is gonna to execute this line 15. I mean this if conditional statement, and if the test is true, this method is going to return false. That means it's going to display in console that the number is not prime. If this conditional test is false, the method is going to return true, and finally is going to display in console the number is a prime number. But when I finish the application, I'm going to use the debugging to understand better how this application is working. Okay, let's go back inside the program file. Here inside this conditional statement, I'm going to write those statements. So I'm going to create object here with this reference variable prime calculator 100. Here I'm going to write again this object console and write line method to display the following text: prime from 1 up to 100. And here I'm going to write this loop 4. I'm going to use this variable, integer variable c, initialized by 1. And because I want this application to display the prime numbers from 1 up to 100, I need this conditional test C to be less than or equal to 100. So here I'm going to use this conditional statement if, and this prime calculator 100 reference variable is gonna to call my prime n method, and this C variable is gonna to store the number which is gonna to be calculated if is prime or not. And if it's prime, the compiler is going to execute this line 30, where I'm going to write this console object and write a line method with the following text: C is prime. And if the conditional expression inside the parentheses of if statement is false, also this method is going to return this boolean value false. The compiler is going to execute this line 32. So this console object and a write line method, which is going to display in console this text and value of C variable, and C plus is not prime. That means that number is not going to be prime number. Okay, good. I'm going to use nested if statement. So here I'm going to write else if parentheses and number, if number 1 is equal by 2, I want you to execute those statements. That means this else if, and I'm gonna to create here another object. So let's copy those lines and paste here inside this else if conditional statement. So here I'm going to do a few changes, and also I need this copy and paste. Okay, and here I'm going to change this reference variable, and I'm going to name it prime calculator 200, because I want this reference variable to store the prime numbers from 101 up to 200. Okay, and I'm going to change here prime number from 101 up to 200. I must change this from 100 to 200. Yeah, and here I should change 100 with 200. Yeah, and I think that's all. I'm gonna to write the last conditional statement of nested if conditional statement, which is else, and I'm gonna to use this console object again. Very useful, this console object, and this write line method, yeah, which is gonna to display the following test, but I'm gonna to write now inside this parentheses: the number is not correct, please enter 1 or 2 dot. So let's compile this application. No errors, as you can see, and let's display in console the result of this application. So as you can see, I have got in console those texts: enter 1 to check prime numbers up to 100, enter 2 to check prime numbers from 101 to 100. Is about those lines. what I used on these lines 15 and 16. And now I'm going to enter 1, and after I will press enter, I'm going to receive a check-in which number is prime, beginning with 1 up to 100. So enter. As you can see, I received all numbers, the check-in numbers between 1 up to 100, which one is prime and which one is not prime. So let's do a check-in again. Prime number from 1 up to 100. 1 is not prime. That is correct. 2 is prime, is correct. 3 is prime, is correct. 4 is not prime, is correct. 5 is prime, is correct. 6 is not prime, is correct, and so on. So the application is working correct, or worked correct, but let's select a number here. For example, 51 is an odd number. It's a bit strange. 51 is not prime. Yeah, that's correct. 51 is not prime because 51 is divisible by 1, by itself, and by 17. If you do a check, let's do a check using the calculator of Windows operating system. Here you are, and 51 divided by 17. Yeah, so 51 is divisible by 17. That means is not prime, and is divisible by 3 as well. Yeah, so in addition 1 and itself, 51 is divisible by 17 and by 3. So 51 is not prime. Enter to close this console, and let's release again this application, and let's enter 2, and as you can see, I received the prime number from 100. No, something is wrong. It's not good, the result, because I received the same result. I received the result from 1 up to 200 prime numbers. So I have a mistake here inside the code. Here, I think, let's do a check. Here, that is the mistake, because if I want the application to display the prime numbers from 101 up to 200, I should start to initialize this C variable with 101. So let's see again. Now let's compile again, and let's see again. Okay, let's enter 2, and as you can see, now the application is correct, worked correct. I've got the prime numbers from 101 up to 200. Yeah, that's correct. So let's use start debugging to check this application a bit, to understand better how it works. And let's enter 1, and let's go back on debug, and click on step into. Okay, as you can see, the cursor is here on 12th line. Step into, okay, step into. So now the cursor is in front of this loop 4, and as you can see, the C variable was assigned by 1, and now the cursor is inside this prime and bool method because when the cursor get this line 29, here the prime calculator called this method prime n, which is settled inside this file prime numbers 100. So now a variable was assigned by 1, yeah, and now the cursor is going to execute this line, and as you can see, the a was assigned by 1. That means this conditional test will be true, and the application, the compiler, is going to return false. As you can see, the cursor is here and is going to return false, and is going to go out this prime n method, yeah, and now the cursor again is on the 29 line, and this method prime n is going to receive the false boolean value, and that means is going to execute this line 32, and is going to write on console 1 is not prime, this line 32. So step into, as you can see, the cursor is here on 32. Step into, and here you go. In console I have this this text 1 is not prime, yeah. Step into again inside the method, yeah. Now because a was assigned by 2, the cursor is gonna to execute after I press step into 14 line, yeah, because this conditional statement, as you can see, is false, yeah. And because this conditional statement inside the for loop is false, that means the cursor is not going to execute this 15 line, is going to skip this line, and this method prime n is going to return this boolean value true, which is on this line 17. Step into, yeah. Now the cursor is here on 17 line, yeah. And because the method return true, the cursor is going to execute this line 30, is going to execute this console object, which will display in the console 2 is prime, yeah. And here you go, 2 is prime, and so on. And let's go ahead and let's see what is going to happen if this C variable is going to have value 9, because 9 is odd number. Actually is not a prime number because it's divisible by 3, in addition by 1 and itself. But just I want to show you how this application works. So now a was assigned by 8, and in this moment a variable was assigned by 9, and as you can see, all the time b variable when the cursor is inside this prime n method is going to be assigned by 2. And that means this variable is going to have either 2 or 3 value, because if you take the even numbers, so if the one even number is divisible by 2 except 2 number, that means that even number will not be prime number because it's divisible by 2 in addition by itself and 1. If this b will be 3, and if one odd number except 3 is divisible by 3, that means it's not a prime number because it's divisible by 3 in addition by itself and 1. So as you can see now, b was assigned by 2 and a was assigned by 9. So this conditional statement inside if statement is not gonna to be true, so is false. So the cursor is going to go back on this counter, and the b is going to be 3. Yeah, now b is 3. So b can be either 2 or 3. That's why, because if I find an even number which is divisible by 2, that means it's not a prime number, because that even number is divisible by 2 in addition itself and 1, except 2. If b is going to be 3 and one odd number is divisible by 3, that means that odd number is not prime, because is divisible by 3 in addition itself and by 1, except 3. Okay, and step into. Now the cursor is back here on the 15th line, step into, and now the method is going to return false, and the application is going to display 9 is not a prime number, as you can see in the console. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. I'm waiting you for watching another tutorials on my YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye.